So here we have the SEMBYLON KWA QRF-MOD1 from M416shellblaster.com. I've gone ahead and disassembled it and talked to you a little bit about some of the nuances with doing that. Kind of walk you through it and then talk about what I'm going to do here, which is really just a spring upgrade. But let's go ahead and let's just talk about taking this blaster apart. There are a couple things. First off, to remove the stock, right? So this actually is quite a large kind of, Allen wrench type screw here. Now I do have these, I have every tool you could possibly think of, but that's just because I'm lucky enough to have all those. So I did have a very long extension so that I could reach in here and unscrew that. Now this is definitely not like a common size that somebody probably has a really long one of, but hopefully you do, or hopefully you have some sort of an extension like this and a small one that you can use to go ahead and then to unscrew this so that we could take the stock off, right? So that's what we have going on over there. All right, so take that off, and then we can go ahead and remove the upper with the handguard just all at once. Since I'm not going to do anything else with that, that was the easiest way to do that. So when it comes to that, really all you have to do is take this piece, which goes right through here, and right through here, and this is just an Allen wrench. And this one, I believe it actually came with, but otherwise this is a very common size, very easy to go ahead and unscrew, right? And go ahead, kind of just pull back on the charge handle and then slide it all forward. You should be good to go, okay? So that part's easy. Get that off, get your upper off. Those are still pretty straightforward, not too difficult to do. All right, then we're going to go ahead and take the bottom of the grip off, right? So we can remove the motor and we can unattach the grip. So got a couple little screws here, one here and one in the back, right? So there and then there, right? Now this is an interesting size. This is actually a very small, it's called a T8, right? Which is a really small size for an Allen wrench, okay? Now this one, here's the Allen wrench, right? So this would work, okay? So I did have one that was thin enough, small enough. So I was able to take that off, remove the motor. So here's your motor, right? Okay. Now, I always go ahead and just mark which side of the grip, like the red is on, just because even though it's almost always the same, I just do it just out of habit, just to make sure, so I don't put the motor back in backwards. So the screws in here to connect to here are this same small size as we had here, okay? So that is this T8 size. Now again, luckily I had that bit. I was able to find, and then I have an extension so I could get in there deep enough to remove those 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that may be something that you don't have laying around. Okay, it's just an interesting size, small size. I don't know how common that is, but that's why I wanted to point that out. So once you undo that, you can take the grip off too. So obviously disconnect the motor first, take the grip off. Those are just 2 things that are like a unique size I wanted to make sure to talk about. Now, when it comes to the lower here, really you're just going to go ahead and unscrew your mag release, right? That's pretty easy, pretty straightforward, okay? And then you're going to take off your shot selectors, right, which are here, okay? So we got 2 different kinds. This one, larger one, does have a little spring, so that's why I put a piece of tape there to make sure that spring stays in there, okay? Put it into safety. I always put it, if you put it into safety first, that's usually going to be the easiest way to pop the gearbox out. So I went ahead and unscrewed those on each side, and really that was all you had to do besides push the pin through. So here's your pin, right? So you want to try to just push it through so that you're pushing through so that that side's coming out first. So I just push it through with like a push like this, right? And just start pushing and see which side lets you push easier. That's usually the right way to go. And then there was, of course, this Allen wrench screw goes right through here. And now this was really tight, whereas if you just started spinning this, it was just spinning the whole thing inside. So again, some tools I had was like something like this, where I could go ahead and kind of insert it and put pressure up against the actual lower and the gearbox, so then it could have some tension and I could unscrew that a little easier. So those were some of the things that were unique that I had to do with this blaster. Okay, once you do that, go ahead and you can just kind of slide it out. I went ahead and just taped where the selectors go in so that those gears are lined up, and it should be easier. You'll see like this piece right here, we'll have to make sure when we slide that back in, it slides back in place, but there was no way to have to remove that other than that. So went ahead, taped those on each side, okay? And again, just makes things easier when you're putting it back together. Popped out the spring. So here is the factory spring, and this is an M95 spring, okay? So a little longer, but also you can see a lot more coils. So we're going to go ahead and see what kind of performance difference we get going with that. And of course, the spring goes back in the same way that it does in every single gearbox. So there's not really anything new or different to show you when it comes to that. It's just sometimes it's a little harder to put back in based on whatever position the gearbox is in. Okay, I'm going to wait. I'll probably do that separately just because I'm going to probably need some hands, or it's just not going to be able to do on video. But so we're going to go ahead and put that M95 in, put it all back together. Obviously I have some cosmetic stuff I'm going to do with it, and then we'll check it all out and see what kind of performance we get. Okay, so there you go. The SEMBYLON QRF-MOD1 from M416gellblaster.com. Check them out. Awesome site. Remember, they ship from China. Be patient. Questions, comments, post them below. Like, subscribe, share my channel with your friends. Participate in those YouTube contests when they're live. Thanks.